Okay, so this is Simon Nott zooms in at number 24. And today I'm with Andrew Lowrie, who is the boss of Optimum Racing. Andrew, for anyone that's not seen your interviews and stuff, you describe yourself more as a professional tipster than a professional punter, or has that
Yes.
changed a bit?
No, that'd still be the same. Morning, Simon, by the way. Good to see
Morning,
you again.
morning. You too.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously I punt on a daily basis, but I'd be wrong in saying that's my main source of income. That's for the last 20 odd years very much been from the advisory service, which is still going strong today, having started back in 1999. So that would very much be my main income source.
You stood the test of time there for sure. Now, when we've done our interviews and we've met in the past, you've been a advocate of specialisation. You're a chase expert, and you put all your focus on the chase. But I was quite surprised when you recently started to advise. Well, I know you've done the big meetings in the past, but you've started covering flat racing, and I was a bit dubious because how can you be such an expert at 20 years? But you've been flying, haven't you? So, I mean, is it just a case that if you're a good judge, you're a good judge and you can apply yourself?
I think as long as you're using the right methods, yeah, there's certainly an element of that to it, Simon. You have to be approaching it in the right way. But it came about it's 10 years ago now, out of necessity, really, when I started the major meetings, because we get to the end of May, jump season's finished, and I'm sat here twiddling my thumbs. It goes really quiet. And over the years, summer jump racing's become even more quiet. And so I started covering the major meetings, and we sold that service separately, and that's still going strong. 10 years on. But what happened this year is that there was even less activity with the jumpers. It was being really quiet. So I had two options really. Either I thought, right, I could start the hurdles and cover the hurdlers as well as the chasers, or do a little bit of the top end of the flat racing. I don't really want to get involved in 0 to 50 handicaps and that, but deal with a bit of the better racing. And that seemed to have worked. So throughout the summer now, I've blended that in with the jumpers, and yeah, it's been good.
Have you had any sort of collaboration on that? Have you just sort of decided to dig in deep and does the basic principles that you use for the jump racing, does it transfer across?
Well, it does to a degree. I still use sectional timings and speed ratings, which I do for the chasers. So there's an element of crossover, but it is a different beast, and certainly with the major meetings, I do approach it in a much different way. With the main service, the daily service, I look for a much bigger edge before I put it out there as an account bet. So we try and be very selective. We highlight all the other positives on the day as well for those who want to bet 2 or 3 a day. But I wait for the right opportunities, if you like. With the flat service, anything that's got an edge, 10% or more, I put it up there. So we're looking to get involved in. We're probably getting involved in about 4 or 5 races a day throughout those big meetings. So it's a different approach, but it seems to work. And I think because a lot of the values there at those bigger meetings, punters can get on easier, paying the extra places a lot in a lot of the each way races. So yeah, it's a different approach, but there are elements of what I do with the jump racing that you can transfer to the flat.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're kind enough to send me all your stuff for free, and I got to tell people when you're doing the flat, you don't pick the easy races, do you?
No, I prefer get stuck into the 20 runner handicaps, and it'd be the same with the jump, Simon. But how many times a year do we see a 20 runner steeplechase these days? They sadly they just don't exist. But yeah, look, if you're trying to delve into a 4 or 5 runner race, it's very hard to find any mistakes. Bookmakers, punters, they don't make that many mistakes in small fields. But when you've got a 16, 20 runner handicap, there's inevitably value to be found there somewhere if you look hard enough.
Well,
So yeah,
sorry, carry on, mate.
no, I was going to say, so I do much prefer get stuck into those races, and at times back 2 in a race. And again, with those bigger races, the each way terms tend to be massively in your favour.
Now, when spoke to Andrew Mount recently. I speak to him quite regularly doing these. We do a different thing about systems. He said to me that any horse, he believes that any horse that wins a handicap wins it because everything has gone right for them that day. Would you agree with that?
Um, if it's a tight knit handicap, I guess, yeah. I don't know. Generally, I'm look. There's so many things to take into consideration, but generally, providing the horse isn't inconvenienced by a bad draw or by the way the race is run, generally the best horse wins. But yes, you have to have in handicaps, because there's so little from top to bottom. You have to you have to probably be well drawn. You have to have the ground in your favour, and you have to have that element of luck in running as well. So yeah, things have to go right for you. But look, a horse that's got an ability of say an 80 handicapper won't be the horse of an ability of a 100 handicapper, providing the conditions aren't totally against the better horse.
Yeah, this so have you've been an advocate of this specialising for a while. Are you sort of looking at the hurdles for the forthcoming season? Or are you just going to stick to the jumpers again?
I'm going to stick to the chasers, but there's a possibility I might get some help at some stage and add the hurdlers to the service. Something I'd like to do, but I think if I took it on myself, in all honesty, once we get into the full season, there's 4 or 5 jump meetings a day. The way I do, the mythology of it, all the way I approach it, just too much for one person. I've been looking at recent times to try and utilize all the sectional time information that's out there for everyone free, on RUK, at the races, and all the rest of it. But the way, although the information is excellent and it's obviously very accurate, the way it's passed over, it's very difficult for me to interpret it in the way I've been used to using it for the last 15 years, because the way I approach it is we compare one race with another on the same day. We're only looking at the same day. So we might be able to compare a 2 mile handicap chase to a 2.5, and we can compare the sectionals one against the other to see which race is the better of the two. But also what I think is very important as well is to see how that race was run, because if a horse has crawled for the first mile in the 2 mile chase, obviously the second mile is going to be quick, and if the race is run vice versa, the other is going to apply. So on some of these sectionals that you see, it's hard to know where the same point is on the first circuit as it is on the second circuit. Whereas if I hand time it myself and I do timings from fence to fence, it's very easy to see if that horse has gone off too quick and has been inconvenienced as a result of that, or whether he's had the run of the race being held up off a very fast pace. So I'm going to have to stick with the methods I've used for the last 15, 20 years with sectionals and do it longhand. And that would just be too much for me to do the hurdles as well as the chases.
Yeah, I mean, the pure nature of that means that you've literally got to do it in real time, haven't you?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
So it's gonna. What are the tools of your trade for people that are watching this that want to sort of emulate you? What do you what do you use? Are you on the form book side? Are you sort of still leafing through paper, or are you?
Well, I use for the form book. I'll use both race form and time form. I find time form good these days because you've got all the access to the videos on one site, so it's all there to watch as you're trawling through the form. From my own methods, then, when I use my sectional timings and translate that information into my official or my private ratings, I should say, I still use pen and paper for that. It's much to the disgust of my my 3 children. Let's call them children. They're all grown up now. But it's about time I got a little bit more modernized. But I just find it works for me, Simon. And it'd be a wrench to try and change it now, especially for a technophobe like myself.
I know that Shane Revell's a pen and paper man as well, because he grabbed a handful of pens at the Star Sports Mayfair when he did an interview there.
Oh, I'm in good company then. That's
you're in good company. Now, you mentioned your boys because they're in the industry now, aren't they? All of them?
They are, well, the two eldest. The youngest is still 17, so obviously he doesn't bet yet, Simon. But yeah, the eldest two both working for DragonBet now. Local bookmakers, of course, doing extremely well, and yeah, they're both really enjoying it.
Is the love of sort of horse racing something that they've been sort of nudged towards, or have they just fallen for it as well? Is it in the
Um,
blood?
from a profession, no, I've not really steered them that way. But they've obviously grown up watching what I do, and I like to think I've taught them a little bit along the way. But no, from a profession that they've made their own choices, and whilst I've certainly hopefully taught them a little bit of how I work things out, they're teaching me now on a daily basis, and it's very interesting, to be honest. And I'm literally learning new things off them on almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I was going to say that. I mean, from quite often people dismiss youngsters as not having the experience to be any good. But I mean, what sort of new stuff would they bring to the table?
A lot of it sort of technical stuff, but also just not so much on horse racing, but general information on betting markets, which has obviously evolved in over time, and yeah, just the way the industry's operating, Simon, on a something that I just wasn't really aware of, really.
And what
And
about
also my eldest son, he's sort of gone the similar route with me with his betting, follows the chasers. So I find him a source of help with the sectional timings. He can have his input. My middle son, he does his own ratings on the flat, and with a lot of success, produces his own speed ratings. So yeah, I literally learn from them now rather than the other way around. So.
is that why? Yeah, I mean James Lovell and his brother David. I mean, they're very shrewd. I mean, have they got them on board because they're shrewdies like that?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Excellent. I just want to say, because we do like shameless promotion on this thing, if people are enjoying this content and they like it, there's more on this channel. You like and subscribe, plus my website's up there, loads of other stuff. Um, Andrew, shameless promotion over for me anyway. Are you still an owner?
I've only got one share now in a flat horse trained by John Gallagher over in near Cheltenham in the Cotswolds. 3-year-old Captain Kinsella. So I've got a share in him. But the last jump horse I had, it didn't really pan out. So it didn't pan out that well, I should say. And so taking a bit of a sabbatical on that. And it's something probably take up again in the future. But I find that the markets are very difficult to buy. When I started buying horses 20, 25 years ago, there was good value at the bottom end of the market. We were buying horses ready to win for 5-10 grand. Those horses now are going for silly money. The same horse we were paying between 5 and 10 grand, probably going for between 30 and 40 grand now. And I think it's probably easier to these days to try and buy a bit of value with the yearlings for flat racing. 2-year-olds were ready to run. No guarantee how they're going to turn out, but you buy the dream. Whereas I think that's almost been taken away from you a bit with the jumps because the way the bottom end of the market's held up.
Yeah, buying the dreams, the whole thing in it. And it was actually as Optimum Racing. Did you have sort of members that were shareholders as well?
Yeah,
Or
we
was
used
it
to.
just the business?
Yeah, no, I used to purchase the horse myself, and then we'd look to sell shares through the company then. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun along the way. A lot of people have got involved, and we've had plenty of success. So, but in recent years, it's just become harder and harder. And I just thought we'd take time out, and perhaps something we'll go into again in the future.
Wait till the right one comes along, eh?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, people that watch this, I know you sell your expertise to customers, but people watching this, obviously, you're a good judge. So, if somebody's looking to improve their betting, what have you got? One piece of advice? I mean, where any sort of information that you found invaluable that you were taught by somebody else when you were just starting out?
Yeah, I think specialization for me works, and I think that is important. If you try, if you started with a blank canvas today, you never approached it before trying to work out the form or had any idea of how to go about it, you just get lost. I don't know how many meetings there are today. It's probably 6 or 7 again today. Where do you start? So I think whether you decide flat racing's your thing or jump racing or a bit of both, but specialize in something. So when I do the flat now in the summer, I concentrate on 0 to 70s minimum, mainly 0 to 75 handicaps and above. And I home in on the big meetings. With the national hunt season, we'll be in full flow now once we get into October, with the start of that new 3-day Chapstow fixture. And with the jumpers, as you know, I solely do the steeplechases. So it gives you a narrow, smaller pool of horses to deal with and try and keep on top of. And rather than sort of try and spread yourself looking at 7 or 8 races a day, spend as much time as you can on 1 or 2 and try and know as much about that race. If you spend an hour, 2 hours on one race, you're going to know more than probably 90% of people who are betting into that market. So yeah, I think specialization and not spreading yourself too thinly.
Now, I know from seeing your selections for the last, probably 5 years now, you're not a favourite backer. So are you looking for a pattern of a horse that looks to you like it's about to win? Is that your sort of angle?
Yes, to a degree. Look, I start every race, with a blank canvas, and assess it accordingly. So I don't like backing horses on the back of poor runs because invariably, and then this is something you learn as an owner as well. It comes in very useful. There's so many excuses you hear when horses underperform, and once they've underperformed, generally speaking, there's no guarantee they're going to bounce back unless the conditions they face when they ran poorly were totally against them. So I do like horses who are progressing and showing it that they're producing at least somewhere near their best form. But ultimately, I'll go through the race, kind of put them in some sort of order, top to bottom, and then once I've sort of gone that far with it, I'll then try and price the race up. And it's only when then there's a horse that stands out that's a value price that I'd consider backing it. So it doesn't matter. You say I don't bet favourites. I don't bet a lot of favourites because I don't feel there's generally much value necessary in a lot of favourites. But I will if there's a 2-to-1 shot, I make 6-to-4. I'll back it. But generally, I tend to find that I'll be backing sort of 6-7-to-1 shots that I think probably should be half the price.
Yeah, and your service. I mean, you are very selective, aren't you? For anyone, we're going to talk about how people can subscribe in a minute, but for people that do want to subscribe, I would say, as an independent sort of adjudicator, if you like, you are very selective. You
Yes.
probably have to do a lot of work, and then there's no bet, but people get a lot of information.
Yeah.
So how's that sort of gone down with your customers? Obviously, well, because you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. So I've changed it slightly recently, and I think the new approach sort of caters for everyone because, as you say, I'm quite rightly say, I'm selective as far as the account bets are concerned. Perhaps 2, maybe 3 a week, but because I'm mindful that a lot of people who join me exclusively as an investment opportunity. That's why they've joined. I've got many clients, lucky enough to have a lot of clients who've been with me 20 years or more, and they're not really interested in anything else apart from making money, which is what we're in the game for. So they generally follow the main account bets, but I do a recorded message, an audio message, which we send out by email, as you know, previewing all the races I've looked at. And in recent times, I've started to sort of summarize that information in text on the email as well. So highlighting other horses I think are worth a bet if you're looking to have 3 or 4 bets a day. These are horses who I think are slightly overpriced, and there's a small edge in getting involved, but not a big enough edge for me to warrant putting on the account. So for those who want to have 20 odd bets a week, the information is there for them. But for those who want to treat it strictly as an investment and a prepared to wait and patient enough to wait for the right opportunities, well, they just follow the account bets, and that seems to suit them.
Okay, now so shameless promotion on your side. Then. If anybody wants to get involved and dip their toe in,
Well, yeah, I'm going to do a promotion shortly, so we will start it here. Why not? And give anyone an opportunity to join for £49 a month. I'm going to run that promotion through until the start of the jumps, the Chepstow meeting. I haven't got the dates here, but it'll be second week of October, I guess. So if you join between now and then, you can have a whole month for £49, and there's no guarantee we're going to have a very good month. But if it's anything like August, I think you'll probably want to join me in November as well, October, November as well. So yeah, you can get in touch, request a newsletter via our website, optimumracing.co.uk, and we'll through that send you all the information you need. And give it a try. As I say, you'll receive a daily email with an audio preview of the racing, and we'll summarize that message in text, and of course highlight any actual main account bets as well.
okay. So anybody that's watching this on my website, I'll put the link to Andrew's site on in the info, and also I'll stick it on YouTube as well. So
Perfect, Simon. Thank you.
if anybody wants to sign up, but it's definitely not for the get rich quick merchants that want to that are want a load of bets every day unless they're following the things. But anyway, if from what I've seen, Andrew, he puts a lot of work into it. And if you're patient and prepared to wait, like he says, I would definitely be giving him the thumbs up. Okay, mate. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm assuming I'll be seeing you on the turf. I'm going to try and get to at least one of those days in October.
Yes, yeah. I'm hoping to go. I'm hoping to go racing. Saying more, I tend to throughout the winter try and go at least once a fortnight, if not more regularly than that. And I'm thinking of trying to start betting more in the ring. I went to Newbury a couple of weeks ago, and I was surprised how vibrant the ring was compared to my last visit there for a flat meeting. It seemed very healthy. I only had a couple of small bets, but the price was very comparable to the exchange prices. The each way terms are available. The only slight negative from my perspective is I've tend to have done all my work by 11 o'clock, and we put the message out by then. And it's very difficult to sit in your hands if you think there's a standout bet at 6-7 to 1, and wait to the middle of the afternoon to hope that price is still there. So there's a little bit of work to be done how we get around that. But generally, yeah, I'm hoping to go racing quite frequently throughout the winter and have a few more bets in the ring.
Well, I will say that the betting ring, I mean, I spend a lot of time in the betting ring, and it definitely has become a lot more vibrant. You can get the fractions as well.
Yeah,
learn the fractions. There's a link on my website for learning the fractions. But the other thing is, Andrew, realistically, someone like you, those prices that are available at 11 o'clock are theoretical, aren't they? So, well, if you want a proper bet, you've got to go.
They are to serious money, Simon. But there's so many bookmakers out there now, aren't there, that you're not going to get a lump on it just by using one or two. But I don't play massively these days at all, so I can get at least partly accommodated at 11 o'clock at the right price. But yeah, you're quite right. If you're looking to get stuck into one properly, and you're far better off waiting to 5 minutes before the off, and anyone will accommodate you then within reason.
Yeah. Well, just one last thing, Andrew. I had Dave Massey on. I don't know if you know Dave Massey a while back. He's doing the trackside paddock watching, all that sort of sends information in live time to subscribers. I mean, would that be an extra weapon in your armory, whether it be backing winners or assessing future races? If you went to the races, you're in the pre-parade ring with all the beards that are back there and Death Paul and those sort of people. Wouldn't it be worth your while going just for that? Would you be a paddock sort of judge?
I wouldn't call myself a paddock judge. I've learned and improved over the years, again, partly down to ownership as well. And I think there's definitely an advantage going sort of early season. Even these days, most horses now turn up and they're fighting fit, they're ready to go. But you can still, catch the odd thing still catches your eye if you go early season. But no, it's not something that would be my speciality, so I tend not to take too much notice of that. But you always gain something when you're at the races that you wouldn't gain sat at home, in the office. So I'm keen to keep going and remind myself really why I chose this line of work all those years ago.
Yeah, and it's not healthy to sit indoors every day. You're going to get out, get to the races.
Absolutely,
Anyway,
yeah.
Andrew, thanks very much for your time, mate. We're going to
No
put this
problem.
up, be hopefully up in about an hour's time or whatever. Anybody interested in Andrew's service, once again, the link will be on the details of this on YouTube and on my website. I can highly recommend him. Puts the work in, top man. And I'll see you on the turf, Andrew.
Cheers, Simon. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you like. If you don't like, don't subscribe. But anyway, thank you very much. Hello everyone, just a quick one. If you have enjoyed these videos and are enjoying these videos, can you please like and subscribe to my channel? Thanks very much.